Imagine a world where the coolest supplier to OEMs like Bugatti and McLaren harness the full power of their 3D printing technology to create a center seat hypercar. Now imagine it at a 2.88 litre twin turbocharged V8 that revs to 11,000 RPM and produces 750 horsepower and is topped up by 2 electric motors for the front axle for a fulsome 1,250 horsepower, and then set about obliterating lap records all over America. In fact, don't imagine, this is that car. This is the Czinger 21C. Today, we're going to drive this thing on track, meet one of its creators.
We want to make the ultimate track setting hypercar,
and find out if it is the real deal.
I'll also get to experience the 21C's unique passenger seat configuration that might be cited in some very expensive divorces in future. But let's get straight to it. This is a customer's car and we don't have a lot of time, so welcome inside California's highly unusual but deeply intriguing new hypercar.
It's obviously got monster performance. I think the thing to get used to start with is the steering. So it's nice and weighty, but we're running a lot of power through the front wheels. So 750 at the rear. .500 through the front, and you feel that for sure. There's moments where the front wheels snatch a little bit, but the whole thing is quite overwhelming. The environment is extremely cool. The central driving position is great. You've got really good visibility of the sort of the 2 wings from the side, but you don't have much up front because you're so at the front of the car, and so it takes a while to get confident of where to place the car. The car feels so stable through the fast corners. Brake pressure's lovely. You have to give it a good old shove, like a race system. It's like a hybrid between a road and race system, I guess. It's a brake-by-wire system, but the feel is great. You don't feel the ABS intervention. The thing absolutely flies through these quick turns. You never know what to expect with these low-volume cars, but they clearly care about all the little details.
Immediately then, the 21C feels like a new flavour. Partly that's the 1+1 seating, but there's a physicality and a kind of engineered brutality that's really cool. We live in incredible times where cars are as extreme yet complete as the F80 Rome, and where the Valkyrie has redefined how exciting a road car can be. So the 21C might be a brand new car from a brand new manufacturer with a brand new design and production technique, but there can be no excuses, especially at $2.2 million. In Track Plus mode, which unleashes the full aero load of 1,200 kilos of downforce at just 100 miles an hour and over 2,500 kilos at 200, I don't feel the need to make any.
Okay, so now I'm in Track Plus mode. Lowers the car 25 mil, brings out the full potential of the aero. It feels different to anything else I've driven, really, and that means there's a learning curve, which is bad when you're trying to do a video in a short space of time, but probably good if you're a customer and owner, because you certainly wouldn't feel like you knew it straight away. It's physical and extreme. So much high-speed grip. The messages through the car are actually pretty good, but because I'm not used to it and it is so alien, it's taken me a while to listen, and you get to the corners so fast. It feels like there's a little bit of understeer, but then there is a bit of a sting in the tail, I think. wow.
The spec sheet says wow too. The Czinger has all the good stuff. That unusual layout required a super compact engine, so there's a homegrown, incredibly high-revving 2.9-litre twin turbocharged V8 with 750 horsepower and 397 foot-pounds. It drives through a 7-speed single-clutch but twin-barrel gearbox. The motor is supplemented by an 800-volt electric drive system consisting of a crank-driven MGU that can deliver up to 150 kilowatts into the battery, and 2 further electric motors for the front axle, powered by a small but power-dense 4 kilowatt-hour battery split and located in each sill. Total output is 1250 horsepower and 692 foot-pounds. Czinger claimed 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds and 0 to 124 in 4.8, about a second quicker than the Ferrari F80. There's inboard suspension with ZF ride height adjustable dampers, surface transforms carbon ceramic discs, and of course Zinger's amazing additive manufacturing design process. This really is so much more than a car, so let's just hear a bit of its story.
I wanted to do a walk around of this fascinating car, but I pretty quickly realized that there's no way I could do justice to the design process, the production techniques, and the love and passion that has been poured into this car. However, I do know a man who can. This is Lukas Czinger. His name is on the car. Lukas, thanks for spending some time with us and letting us drive this car. I don't really know where to begin, so why don't you tell me what this car, what its purpose is, and what it represents for you guys?
Thank you, Jethro, and it's great to be here. The car itself is really a representation of over 10 years of technology development. We're a business out of Los Angeles that has created our own design software tools, our own generative design software, our own manufacturing process, and has invested about $1 billion to generate what we think is the future of automated engineering, and better manufacturing process, especially for structural products like the chassis of an automobile. So this car sitting here, for us, it's our baby. It's our development that took 10 years of blood, sweat, and tears, and it represents over 750 patents that we've earned in that development process. It is the world's fastest hypercar around a circuit, but it represents much more than that. It represents a tipping point to a new way of engineering, a new way of manufacturing.
I don't want this to play out like an advert, but although this stuff sounds fantastical, Czinger and sister company Divergent are walking the walk. I've seen with my own eyes parts being designed and developed for all the very top supercar manufacturers at their factory, alongside SpaceX components and all sorts of other classified clients. It's real, and so we're going to stick with Lukas for the time being.
There's some fundamental decisions here. The canopy style 1+1 seating, your own engine, which is a huge undertaking. Let's go through some of those fundamental decisions. When were they taken and why, basically?
Very early on. So we had the real good fortune and what I would say unique opportunity to take a clean sheet of paper. We don't have a legacy brand, so we did not have to think about our past and how to mirror and extend that past. And we had a new technology that afforded us a ground-up powertrain, a ground-up chassis, a ground-up seating layout. And we looked and we said, we want to make the ultimate track setting hypercar. We also want to make a car that's incredibly enjoyable to drive on the road, that feels otherworldly. If we're putting forth a new technology, the driving experience needs to mirror that new technology. The cabin itself, 1+1 seating, that's very much so based on CFD, on aerodynamics.
Yep.
Narrow frontal surface area means better overall CFD and ability to also add downforce to the vehicle and ground effect to the vehicle. The powertrain itself, we have that 1+1 seating. We know we need to be a strong hybrid to set the track times we're after. We've got a relatively small volume of space to have a lot of power, and that led to the V8 development. Twin turbo does 850 plus horsepower, but it's a 2.88 liter, 11,000 RPM. So you're packing a huge punch in a very small area. And the way we've been able to engineer that is using our software, using our additive manufacturing, our assembly, and I've signed up for something that ultimately is incredibly hard to do, which is get through California CARB emissions, get through full crash as well with that program.
Okay, and let's talk some numbers. Let's talk total power output. Also, the downforce is fascinating. So if you've got some numbers around that to put it into context.
Yeah, so all-wheel drive, we're doing 1,250 horsepower. On CFD and aerodynamics, we're about a 3.5 to 1 lift to drag ratio. Our head of aero ran era at Williams F1.
Yep.
And we had the unique ability to develop in unison with our designers, our engineering capability, and our CFD capability, so that this vehicle was formed holistically, really around the CFD package as well. So the ground effects, they're on the sides of the body, and the wing itself, we're doing, you know, the equivalent of, let's say, 4,500 pounds of downforce on that wing at 200 miles per hour.
Wow. Okay, I want to look inside the car because we can see some of that 3D additive manufacturing process that you're doing. So I'm going to open the rear deck lid. Okay, so here it is. And I think people have probably seen this stuff before in component form, but seeing it as a whole, this organic, absolutely optimized design is fascinating to me. So talk us through, let's say something like a component like this, the suspension rocker. How is that design developed, produced?
Absolutely. So we look at the vehicle on a full vehicle model. And what we created is something we call generative design software. And it's a topology optimization engine. It's a geometry optimization engine. It's a full simulation of our manufacturing process, 3D printing, additive manufacturing, full simulation of our assembly. And what you give that software tool is the requirements of the system. So we tell it, this is the stiffness that that component needs. These are the hard points to our suspension system. These are the load cases that we're going to see as we drive the vehicle. And then we essentially hit run on that software.
Okay.
And the software itself adds and subtracts the material against that requirement set, does those simulations with the full physics feedback loop, and ultimately converges on that geometry. That geometry we consider a Pareto frontier, meaning we can't remove a gram of material without violating one of these requirements. So the word perfect is a loaded word, but in this sense, this part is perfect to its requirement set. And that is why this vehicle is so efficient, is because of the way we can design it, and then that we can actually materialize this exact design. This exact shape can actually be created using the manufacturing process.
And there's lots of different 3D printed parts all over the car. Is it always the same structure, the same aluminium alloys, or have you got different materials?
Yeah, the materials part is definitely some of our secret sauce in our development. So we've developed this aluminum ground up, and it is ductile where it needs to be ductile, or there's a different variant of it which has a much higher stiffness that you might use in your suspension. Then you look at materials that are more powertrain specific, and you get into your Inconels, your refractory alloys. So we can print, and we do print, about 7 different unique materials, most of those having been patented by our team and created by our team. And when you look inside here, you see that intake, exhaust, gearbox casing itself also printed. So you're not only looking at primary structure, you're starting to bring in the system itself into that printed form, into that optimized topology.
It's amazing stuff. And I think if you had to think about hypercar manufacturers, where they fit in, what's special about them, I look back to Bugatti and that carbon fiber, that beauty that they brought to the supercar scene. And now this is bringing its own different technology. It's fascinating to be around. It's absolutely beautiful in the shapes, in the engineering, and it's effective as well. And other manufacturers are 100% coming to you guys, some of whom you can't talk about.
Yes.
But I think that's just proof that this technology is something special. And this car is something to be around and behold, and it's completely different to other offerings, and I think that's absolutely key to its appeal. So thank you, Lukas, it's an amazing achievement.
It's impossible not to be impressed with what this car represents and the faintly scary potential of this technology. Is Czinger and Divergent about to take over the world? Maybe, but all that aside, we still need to feel the 21C fully lit. This is just one of 80 customer cars, so I will hold back a little bit. Maybe, probably.
There's like a Valkyrie-like level of force. The car feels a bit heavier than the Valkyrie. 16, 20 kilos wet, this thing, so it is heavier. But there's a solidness to everything it does. The chassis does feel fairly benign. The problem is you can get yourself into trouble because it's so rapid. There's a lot going on in this thing. It's a wild ride. Just have to be careful off camber. It wants to slide at the rear. What a beast, I'm hanging on. There's no denying this thing is absolutely intense. And dialed in. So good through the high speed stuff. I am pretty staggered by this. I hope the owners will fit because they are in for a workout. The front can push a little, but Jesus. I know I should be talking more, but this feels like a proper event and a once in a lifetime thing. What a track. What a car. This is mighty. Woo!
Well, that was fun. The Zinger's engine is a little jewel and the overall experience is all-consuming. For me, the drama could be dialed up still further with some ignition cut upshift explosives. The throttle program is way too aggressive as you tip into it, and I'd love to see the ICE power up to 850 as in the Blackbird edition or 950 as initially promised, and a corresponding reduction in the front electric torque. But even so, this is a wickedly exciting experience and has dynamic quality shot through so many facets of its personality. Funnily enough, the only person who loses here is potentially the passenger. So yeah, I had to have a go in the rear seat behind Joel Miller, who would later set a lap record on this very circuit in another 21C.
Wow, the high speed balance, fantastic. You can hear it bottoming. Got confidence where I'm backing out. I just hesitate. Those little bits off camber where I'm sliding, he's coming off the front, he's anticipating that. That's interesting. Oh yeah. I just think what they've achieved with this thing is remarkable. Forget the production technique, the 3D printing, which in itself is amazing. But ultimately it has to deliver as a car, as an absolute fully lit, exciting driver's car, and it does. He's good through there. It's a monster, and it's a fantastic experience from the driver's seat. Slightly less pleasant from back here, but what a cool thing. These guys nailed it. They've built something fantastic. My neck hurts. Oh, what a thing. What an experience.